Right, settle in, won't you? Grab a cuppa or whatever you fancy and let me know where you're joining us from and what time it is for you. Don't forget to give us a like and hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying the journey. We're about to step into a world of hushed elegance and hidden dangers. You find yourself in Victorian London. It's the brisk autumn of 1888, the gas lamps outside already casting long, shivering shadows down the cobbled street. A chill seems to seep into your bones, even through the thick fabric of your coat, carrying the faint, familiar tang of coal smoke and damp earth. You stand on the grand doorstep of a Mayfair townhouse, a place of serious wealth and discreet power. The polished brass knocker gleams under the glow of a lantern, reflecting your own slightly apprehensive expression back at you. You push through the heavy oak door and an immediate rush of warmth, heavy with the scent of beeswax polish, expensive perfume, and something subtly floral, perhaps lilies or freesias, washes over you, momentarily chasing away the evening's chill. The air inside is thick, not with smoke, but with an almost palpable hum of polite conversation, a low murmur that ripples through the opulent drawing room. Your boots sink ever so slightly into the deep pile of a Persian rug as you step further in. You notice the soft rustle of silk, a constant, delicate whisper that seems to follow every movement around you. Ladies drift past, their gowns a symphony of rich colors and elaborate trimmings, their bonnets adorned with feathers and ribbons that sway gently. Gentlemen stand in small, attentive groups, their dark suits a stark contrast to the vibrant dresses, their voices a low rumble. Everyone seems to be watching or perhaps being watched. You feel eyes on you, fleeting glances that slide away as soon as they meet yours, carrying a curious blend of assessment and polite curiosity. A gloved hand, adorned with a single gleaming emerald ring, brushes lightly against your arm as its owner passes, a brief, cool contact that sends a strange flicker through you. Your gaze sweeps across the room, past the towering, velvet-draped windows, the ornate marble fireplace where a cheerful fire crackles, and the numerous gilt-framed portraits staring down from the walls. Then you see it. A mahogany side table, laden with an array of delicate porcelain. There, nestled amongst silver tongs and miniature sandwiches, sit several exquisite teacups, their surfaces painted with intricate patterns of roses and forget-me-nots. They gleam under the gaslight, almost beckoning. A liveried footman, silent as a shadow, approaches the table. He lifts a gleaming silver teapot, the steam curling invitingly from its spout, and begins to pour. The aroma reaches you then, a rich, fragrant black tea, perhaps a Darjeeling, mingled with the faint sweetness of milk and a hint of lemon. It's a familiar, comforting smell, yet tonight it carries a subtle edge, a porcelain promise that feels both alluring and strangely fragile. You find yourself moving towards the table, drawn by an invisible thread. You reach for a cup, your fingers brushing against the cool, smooth ceramic. It feels impossibly delicate, almost weightless, yet capable of holding such potent warmth. The promise of that first sip hangs in the air, a silent question waiting to be answered. You hold the cup, feeling its warmth spread through your palm, a small anchor in this swirling room of silks and secrets. The world around you seems to fade, momentarily replaced by the simple act of holding this fragile vessel. It reminds you how easily beauty can conceal, how often the most ordinary rituals can hold the gravest weight. You're still holding that delicate porcelain cup, aren't you? Its warmth has settled into your hand now, a comforting, familiar weight amidst the hushed grandeur of the drawing room. The subtle fragrance of the Darjeeling rises, mingling with the sweeter, more potent notes of the room itself. You bring the cup closer, the rim cool against your lips, and take that first sip. It's immediately strikingly sweet. Almost overpoweringly so, a rush of sugar that coats your tongue, followed by the rich, malty flavor of the tea itself. The warmth spreads down your throat, a pleasant, soothing sensation that chases away any lingering chill from the autumn evening. You taste milk, creamy and full, and a faint, bright hint of lemon that cuts through the sweetness, leaving a refreshing aftertaste. It's a perfectly crafted brew, a testament to the household's impeccable standards. You feel a small, internal sigh of contentment, a moment of pure, unadulterated pleasure. But then, as the last of the sweetness fades, a peculiar sensation begins to prickle at the back of your tongue, a subtle bitterness, almost metallic, that wasn't there at first. It's fleeting, barely perceptible, like a forgotten echo. You frown, a tiny, almost imperceptible furrow in your brow. Was it just the lingering taste of the tea leaves, perhaps a particularly strong brew, or something else entirely? You take another, smaller sip, trying to pinpoint the sensation, but it seems to vanish, masked once again by the immediate sweetness. You glance around the room, subtly trying to gauge if anyone else has noticed anything amiss. A lady across the room, resplendent in emerald green silk, dabs delicately at her lips with a lace handkerchief. Her eyes, however, seem a little too wide, a little too fixed on her teacup. A gentleman nearby, his back to you, suddenly clears his throat with an abrupt, almost violent cough that seems out of place in the genteel atmosphere before quickly composing himself. These are tiny tremors, hardly noticeable in the grand scheme of things, but they send a tiny shiver down your spine. You look back at your tea, the dark liquid shimmering under the gaslight. The sweetness still tempts you, promises comfort, but that fleeting, metallic edge now hovers at the edge of your memory. You feel a prickle of unease, a quiet question blooming in the pit of your stomach. Is it merely your imagination, or is there something more insidious lurking beneath the exquisite taste of this Victorian ritual? You're left with the warmth of the cup, the lingering sweetness, and that persistent, unsettling question. It's strange how something so delightful can suddenly feel so precarious, making you wonder what other hidden depths lie beneath the surface of polite society. You find yourself drifting away from the gentle hum of the main drawing room, the lingering sweetness of the tea still on your tongue, subtly battling with that faint, unsettling metallic echo. Your gaze is drawn down a short corridor where an open doorway reveals a deeper, richer hue than the surrounding creamy walls. You step through and a whole new atmosphere envelops you. It's the Emerald Room. The name instantly makes sense. Deep, almost oppressive shades of green dominate everything. Heavy velvet curtains pooling on the floor, wallpaper with an intricate floral pattern in shimmering jade, and even the upholstery on the few exquisitely carved chairs. The light here is softer, diffused, as if filtered through a canopy of leaves, casting everything in a muted, elegant glow. It feels more intimate, perhaps more secretive than the room you've just left. But it's the smell that truly captures you. It's distinctly floral, a heady mix of delicate blossoms, perhaps lilies again, or something more exotic like night-blooming jasmine, so sweet it almost cloys. Yet beneath this perfumed layer you detect another scent, faint but persistent, a dry, almost mineral tang like metallic dust. It's not the sharp, acrid smell of fresh metal, but something older, finer, a powdery whisper on the air. It's curious how the two aromas, so disparate, weave together, creating a strangely unsettling harmony. You walk further into the room, your footsteps muffled by a luxurious, dark green carpet. You run your hand lightly over a polished mahogany cabinet, feeling the cool, smooth wood beneath your fingertips. Your eyes trace the lines of a large, ornate looking glass framed in intricate, gilded bronze, its surface catching and twisting the subdued light. You notice a slight shimmer of dust on its frame, barely visible but present. Could that be the source of the metallic scent? Another guest, a woman in a deep blue gown, stands near a tall display cabinet filled with miniature porcelain figurines, her gloved finger hovering just above a tiny shepherdess. She doesn't touch it, but her posture is stiff, almost frozen, her shoulders slightly hunched. She glances at you, a quick, almost imperceptible dart of her eyes that holds a hint of something unreadable, apprehension. Or shared curiosity. You feel a curious tightening in your chest, a sense that the beauty of this room with its conflicting scents holds a secret, a quiet tension that pulses just beneath its opulent surface. This room, with its dual aromas of delicate flowers and subtle metallic dust, feels like a perfectly crafted lie. It makes you wonder how often the most beautiful veneers are simply a carefully constructed disguise for something far less palatable. The faint metallic tang still lingers in the air, a peculiar counterpoint to the cloying blossoms of the Emerald Room. You find your gaze drawn to the rich jade-green wallpaper, its intricate pattern of leaves and vines. There on a stretch of wall just beside the large, ornate-looking glass you notice it, a faint, almost imperceptible sheen. It catches the subdued light not like moisture, but like a whisper of fine, shimmering powder clinging to the surface. You reach out, your fingertips lightly brushing the wallpaper. It feels cool, dry, and oddly smooth, yet you feel a subtle grit, a dusty residue that seems to settle on your skin. You draw your hand back, a prickle of unease sharpening your senses. As you stand there observing this strange detail, a wave of dizziness washes over you, a fleeting sensation that makes the opulent room tilt just a fraction. It's not severe, merely a momentary swimminess like you've risen too quickly. A warmth spreads through your chest, an internal heat that feels oddly at odds with the cool, autumn air outside. Your temples begin to throb faintly, a dull, persistent ache that wasn't there a moment ago. That metallic aftertaste from the tea seems to resurface stronger now, as if resonating with the very air you breathe. You try to dismiss it, to attribute it to the rich food or the warmth of the room, but the sensation persists growing. You feel a sudden, compelling need to lean against something, anything for support. Your eyes dart across the room to the other guests. The woman in blue, still by the display cabinet, now has a hand pressed to her forehead, her face a little paler in the subdued light. Her eyes, when they flicker towards you, hold a haunted, bewildered look, confirming your growing suspicion. Another gentleman who had been chatting animatedly now stands perfectly still, his hand gripping the back of a chair, his knuckles white. A genuine malaise has begun to bloom within you, a slow, insidious creep of discomfort that feels deeply wrong. It's more than just the tea now, it's the very atmosphere of this elegant, green-hued prison. The faint sheen on the wall, the metallic scent, the strange dizziness, they all coalesce into a single, terrifying understanding. Your body is trying to tell you something, a silent, urgent warning that resonates deep within your bones. It's chilling how your own physical reactions, often dismissed as mere inconvenience, can become the most vital messengers, screaming truths that your mind initially refuses to accept. The growing malaise in the Emerald Room becomes too much to bear. You need air, a change of scenery, anything to shake off the creeping dread. Excusing yourself with a polite nod, you find yourself instinctively heading not towards the main entrance, but down a narrow, unassuming servants' staircase tucked away at the back of the house, a hidden artery of the grand Mayfair townhouse. With each descending step, the air shifts dramatically. The delicate floral perfumes of the drawing rooms fade, replaced by a much earthier, more robust bouquet. You're hit first by the distinct aroma of cooking, a rich, savory scent of roasting meat and simmering vegetables, hinting at the evening's lavish dinner. But underneath that, a sharper, almost mineral scent emerges, distinct and surprisingly strong. Then you hear it, a rhythmic, grating sound, a relentless asterisk SHK asterisk that echoes up the narrow stairwell. It's the grinding of chalk or something similar, a dry, abrasive noise that sets your teeth on edge. As you descend further, the air grows considerably warmer, the heat emanating from below. It's a different kind of warmth than the drawing room's genteel coziness. This is a working heat, robust and purposeful. The clatter of pots and pans, the murmur of distant voices, the low rumble of a furnace, all the unseen symphony of a busy Victorian kitchen now surrounds you. You reach the bottom step and the scene unfolds before you. You're in a vast, bustling kitchen, a stark contrast to the elegant spaces above. Copper pots hang gleaming from racks, catching the dancing light from a roaring fire in a massive range stove that dominates one wall. The heat radiating from it is intense, making the air shimmer. Sweat beads on the brow of a stout cook, who wields a ladle over a bubbling cauldron with practiced ease. A young scullery maid, her face smudged with soot, rushes past you, carrying a stack of clean plates. Your eyes, however, are drawn to a corner, partially obscured by a stack of firewood. There, on a heavy wooden table, an elderly woman in a plain apron steadily grinds something with a mortar and pestle. It's her that produces the chalky sound. As she works, a fine, pale dust rises from her efforts, catching the light. You can't quite make out what she's grinding, but the powdery residue seems to float in the air, a silent, almost ethereal presence subtly mingling with the robust cooking smells. The raw energy of this place, the honest grit of daily labor, offers a stark, jarring contrast to the delicate deception upstairs. It makes you realize that sometimes the true workings of the world and its hidden dangers are found not in polite conversation, but in the unseen, unnoticed efforts below the surface. You're still in the heart of that bustling kitchen, aren't you? The heat of the stove still presses in, and the savory smells of a grand dinner linger in the air. But as you move past the bubbling cauldrons and the clatter of pans, your senses are drawn towards a different corner, a place where sweetness reigns. The grinding sound, that relentless SHK asterisk, has stopped, but the memory of it and the fine, pale dust it produced hangs in your mind. Here, the air becomes thick with the intoxicating scent of sugar, vanilla, and roasted almonds. It's a completely different world, dedicated to pure delight. You stand before a long, wooden table, spotless and piled high with an astonishing array of confectionery. Gleaming copper molds are laid out, alongside delicate icing bags and small bowls filled with pastes of startling, almost unnatural colors, vivid emerald greens, deep ruby reds, and brilliant sapphire blues. Each color seems to sing, promising a taste as exquisite as its appearance. You watch as a young apprentice, his brow furrowed in concentration, meticulously applies a shimmering forest green icing to a miniature cake, shaping tiny, perfect leaves with a practiced hand. The sheer vibrancy of the color is captivating, almost hypnotizing. Next to him, a scullery maid, her hands deft and quick, dips a small brush into a bowl of crimson paste, then, almost imperceptibly, into another, shallower bowl. This bowl contains a fine, remarkably white powder, strikingly similar to the one you saw being ground earlier. When she applies the mixture to a sugared almond, the red deepens, becoming richer, more opaque, with an almost porcelain-like finish. As you lean closer, a faint, dry scent rises from that white powder. It's not sweet like flour nor bland like cornstarch. No, this is that peculiar mineral tang again, the same subtle metallic whisper that haunted the emerald room, now mingling incongruously with the sweet, inviting aroma of sugar and almonds. You feel a familiar, unsettling prickle at the back of your throat. Your eyes fix on the worker's careful movements, the way the white dust seems to enhance to perfect the already vibrant colors. The allure of these beautiful confections is undeniable, a visual feast designed to enchant. Yet, knowing what you now suspect about that powder, you can't help but feel a chill creep through you. It's a bitter understanding of how easily surface beauty can mask a deeper, more troubling truth. It makes you wonder how many other things in this grand house are not quite what they seem, how many sweet pleasures conceal a secret, silent deceit. The vibrant, deceptive colors of the confectionery kitchen still swirl in your mind, but the sweetness now feels cloying, almost sickening. You've climbed back up the servants' stairs, a desperate need for fresh air, or at least a different kind of air, driving you. As you emerge, a wave of familiar perfume, mixed with the ever-present beeswax and coal smoke, greets you, but it does little to alleviate the growing discomfort within you. A dull, persistent ache throbs behind your eyes, a constant drumbeat that seems to intensify with every beat of your heart. That earlier dizziness returns, stronger this time, making the elegant drawing room feel less like a haven and more like a ship listing on a choppy sea. You feel a strange pressure around your midsection, an uncomfortable squeeze that tightens with each breath. It's as if an invisible hand is pressing in, making it difficult to fully inflate your lungs. You subconsciously reach for your own waist, a silent internal struggle against something unseen. A wave of nausea, cold and insistent, rises from the pit of your stomach. It's a persistent, churning feeling threatening to overwhelm you. Your mouth tastes distinctly metallic now, not just a faint whisper, but a definite, undeniable tang that seems to coat your tongue and the back of your throat. You swallow hard, trying to dislodge it, but it clings, tenacious and unpleasant. The rich aromas of food from downstairs, which once seemed comforting, now feel oppressive, each scent amplifying the queasiness. You see another guest, a young woman in a pale lavender gown, her hand pressed firmly against her ribs, her face a stark white against the delicate fabric. Her eyes are wide with a frantic, almost desperate light, and her breathing seems shallow, punctuated by tiny, gasping inhales. You notice a slight tremor in her hands as she tries to steady herself against a velvet-draped table. Another gentleman, stout and usually jovial, stands rigidly, his face glistening with a fine sheen of sweat, his necktie appearing impossibly tight, as if strangling him. He glances at you, a fleeting moment of shared, unspoken dread passing between you. The elegant corsets worn by the ladies, usually symbols of grace and refinement, suddenly seem like instruments of torture, squeezing internal organs, intensifying the growing internal struggle. You feel a profound, sickening awareness of your own body, its boundaries, its sudden fragility. This isn't just a party anymore, it's a battle against an invisible internal foe, a delicate constitution fighting against something it cannot see, cannot name. It's a chilling reminder that sometimes the most insidious attacks are the ones that begin subtly, from within, making your own body feel like an unfamiliar, hostile landscape. The nausea now grips you with a vengeance, a relentless churning in your stomach that makes the opulent drawing room spin wildly around you. The metallic taste in your mouth is no longer a whisper. It's a harsh, undeniable tang making your throat feel raw. You cling to the edge of a heavy velvet curtain, your knuckles white, trying desperately to steady yourself as a cold sweat breaks out on your forehead, chilling you despite the room's warmth. The dull ache behind your eyes has sharpened into a relentless pounding, each beat echoing the violent churning within. You feel your breath catch, shallow and desperate, as the elegant corset suddenly feels like a vice crushing your very spirit. A lady in attendance, noticing your sudden pallor and the visible tremors shaking your frame, approaches with a solicitous, yet ultimately condescending, expression. She pats your arm with a gloved hand, her touch cool and fleeting. Her eyes, however, hold a weary sympathy mixed with an almost imperceptible hint of judgment, as if you are merely succumbing to a predictable feminine weakness. She murmurs something indistinct, a soft, hushed sound, then gestures with a delicate wave of her hand towards a quiet corner, her implication clear. Retreat, compose yourself, do not cause a scene. Moments later, a gentleman in a dark suit, his face pinched with concern but his eyes holding that familiar, dismissive flicker, guides you gently but firmly to a secluded antechamber. He is followed by a stern-faced, portly man introduced as Dr. Finch. The doctor's gaze sweeps over you, quick and almost dismissive, barely registering your physical distress. He offers no genuine examination, no probing questions about what you've ingested. Instead, he simply nods with an air of profound authority, his lips pursed in a knowing expression. He clears his throat, a dry, rasping sound, and then pronounces his verdict with an almost theatrical sigh. A touch of the vapors, my dear. Overexcitement, perhaps. A fragile constitution, common in women of your delicate sensibilities. From a small, dark satchel, he withdraws a tiny, amber-colored bottle. You watch as he measures out a few drops into a glass of water, the liquid swirling darkly for a moment before dissipating. The scent that rises from the glass is sharp, alcoholic, with an underlying sweetness and a hint of something distinctly medicinal. You are pressed to drink it, the chill of the laudanum hitting your tongue first, followed by a bitter, earthy taste that seems to coat your entire mouth. It's immediately numbing, a dulling sensation that begins to spread, muffling the sharp edges of your pain but also clouding your thoughts. As the sedative begins its work, you hear the hushed whispers of guests passing by the antechamber door. Just a touch of hysteria, you know, one voice rustles, always so prone to such dramatics. Another dismissively adds, too much excitement for her, I suppose. The words, though indistinct, pierce through the laudanum's haze, confirming the profound solitude of your suffering, the terrible cruelty of being dismissed and labelled when your very body screams a different, more terrifying truth. It makes you realize the chilling power of a quick diagnosis, a label to silence a deeper, more insidious threat. When your true distress is dismissed as mere weakness, the real danger is allowed to fester, unseen and unheard. The numbing chill of the laudanum has settled in, dulling the sharp edges of the nausea, but replacing it with a heavy, fog-like sensation that makes the grand drawing room feel even more distant, more dreamlike. The metallic tang, however, still persists, a stubborn echo in your mouth, a reminder that the real discomfort is merely veiled, not banished. Your vision feels slightly blurred, the colors of the room bleeding into one another, yet one particular hue cuts through the haze with unnerving clarity. Your eyes are drawn across the room, past the shimmering chandeliers and the ornate plasterwork, to a woman standing near a tall window. She is encased, quite spectacularly, in a gown of the most vivid emerald green silk, overlaid with layers of gossamer tulle. The color is almost identical to the jade wallpaper in the emerald room, a hue so intense it feels almost artificial, demanding attention. As she moves, the tulle rustles with a dry, stiff sound, like brittle leaves scraping against each other. You watch her, a strange empathy rising within you despite your muddled state. You can almost feel the fabric against her skin, the delicate, airy tulle meant to evoke grace, yet you perceive an underlying irritation, a subtle, constant itch against the soft skin of her arms and décolletage. The tight bodice of the gown, so perfectly sculpted, must press in, restricting her breath just as your own corset felt earlier. Her posture is ramrod straight, almost painfully so, a testament to the gown's unforgiving structure. You notice a fleeting, almost imperceptible adjustment of her shoulders, a slight shift that hints at a deep, physical discomfort beneath the flawless exterior. As she turns, her gaze sweeps over the other guests. You see the glances directed her way, some admiring, yes, but many are sharp, almost predatory, laced with a palpable envy. A lady in a comparatively subdued rose-colored dress tightens her grip on her fan, her lips pressed into a thin, unsmiling line as she watches the woman in green. Another whispers something to her companion, her eyes narrowed, a tiny, almost imperceptible shake of her head. The admiration is there, certainly, but it's tainted by a subtle undercurrent of resentment, a desire for what she possesses, yet perhaps also a subconscious awareness of its unspoken cost. The woman in green offers a polite, but somewhat strained, smile to a passing gentleman, her eyes holding a flicker of exhaustion, as if the sheer effort of embodying such perfection is weighing her down. She carries herself with an air of conscious presentation, every movement deliberate, every turn of her head calculated. The exquisite dress, designed to elevate and impress, also seems to trap her, a beautiful cage. You realize with a chilling clarity that cuts through the laudanum's fog that the vivid green, so captivating, feels almost like the color of the insidious substance that has found its way into this very house. It's an odd sensation to feel another's silent struggle so acutely. It makes you understand that sometimes the most dazzling displays of beauty and status come with an invisible price, paid not just in discomfort, but in the corrosive gaze of others, and perhaps in a hidden internal suffering. The laudanum might have dulled your discomfort, but the metallic taste and pervasive unease remain. Your eyes, still glazed, drift from the magnificent green gown to a quieter corner. You notice an older woman, perhaps an artisan, in a simple, dark frock. Her hands, though, truly catch your attention. On her right sleeve, near the cuff, you see it, a faint, almost invisible film of green powder. It's the same vivid, unnatural emerald hue as the dress, and chillingly similar to the pigment from the confectioner's kitchen. It clings to the dark fabric like toxic dust, subtle but present. A wave of lightheadedness makes you sway, a familiar internal warning. Then you notice her hand. As she raises a porcelain teacup, her fingers tremble. It's a persistent, rhythmic tremor, making the delicate cup rattle against the saucer. She tries to steady it, but the shaking continues, betraying a deep physical struggle. Her pale face holds quiet resignation, as if this tremor is a familiar, unwelcome companion. No one else seems to notice, or perhaps they choose not to. The polite murmur of conversation continues, oblivious to the small, vibrating drama in her hands. You feel a profound connection, a silent understanding of the insidious illness. The metallic taste in your own mouth intensifies, a phantom echo of the powder on her sleeve. You instinctively clench your hand, testing for an unwelcome tremor. It's sobering to witness such a visible sign of silent suffering, a tremor born not of emotion, but of something far more insidious. It makes you realize that sometimes the most potent poisons don't kill quickly, but slowly, invisibly, leaving a shaking hand and a telltale dust, a constant, undeniable reminder of their presence. The dulling grip of the laudanum still holds you, blurring the edges of the opulent drawing room, but your mind, strangely lucid despite the haze, pulls you away. Suddenly, you're no longer amidst the rustle of silk and the clink of porcelain. Your senses are assaulted by a completely different world, a raw, visceral landscape that feels deeply unsettling. A thick, foul stench immediately hits you, not the gentle coal smoke or perfume of Mayfair, but the raw, choking reek of decay, of open sewers mingling with ancient mud and industrial waste. It's a smell that gets right into your throat, making you involuntarily gag despite the numbing effects of the drug. Your eyes, adjusting to a perpetual gloom, try to pierce the dense, smoky air, and you see it, the Thames. But this is not the majestic river of romantic paintings. This is the working heart of London's grime, a sluggish grey-brown artery choked with the city's refuse. You stand on a slippery, muddy bank, the damp chill rising from the water seeping into your very bones, a cold that feels far more profound than the autumn air upstairs. The river's surface is not clear, not reflective. It's a churning, opaque soup, reflecting the dull, soot-stained sky with an oily, sickly sheen. You watch horrified as dark, unidentifiable shapes bob past, scraps of wood, discarded rags, indefinable organic matter, all swallowed by the sluggish current. The water laps at the grimy, collapsing banks with a soft, sucking sound, a hollow, hungry noise that seems to swallow light and hope. Distant sounds filter through the heavy air. The mournful blast of a foghorn, the creak of barges, the rhythmic splash of unseen oars. You notice a small, sturdy boat, a waterman's skiff, pulling away from the bank, its occupant rowing with a steady, resigned rhythm. He dips a large, heavy bucket into the murky depths, pulls it out, the dark liquid sloshing, then repeats the action. This water, thick and polluted, is destined for the city's kitchens, for its kettles. This is the water that will be boiled, that will brew the tea. You feel a profound, sickening connection, a terrifying realization that the very foundation of that elegant tea ritual, the seemingly pure, comforting beverage, draws its life from these murky, corrupted depths. It's chilling to think that the unseen, the ignored, the foul, can so easily make its way into the most civilized and genteel of settings. It makes you understand that sometimes the true source of a problem lies not in the immediate moment, but in the long, unseen journey of its origins. You're no longer standing by the Thames, but the faint, putrid memory of its stench still clings to your senses. Now you're in the bustling scullery of the Mayfair townhouse. The heavy copper kettle, dark with use, bubbles furiously over a roaring fire, its metallic surface catching the flickering orange light. Steam hisses and dances, rising in thick plumes, carrying with it the robust scent of boiling water, but also, disturbingly, a subtle, earthy undertone, a ghost of the river's murky depths. You watch as a scullery maid, her hands red from washing, carefully measures out spoonfuls of dark, aromatic tea leaves into a large porcelain teapot. It's an Earl Grey blend. You recognize the distinctive, bright citrus notes. As the hot water is poured over the leaves, a fragrant cloud blossoms, a comforting scent of bergamot and rich black tea, momentarily overwhelming everything else. The steam fogs your vision, yet you feel that familiar, insidious chill creeping in. You lean closer, inhaling deeply. The bergamot is prominent, yes, a welcome, sweet diversion. But beneath it, almost imperceptible at first, a faint metallic tang rises. It's the same unsettling, dry note you encountered in the Emerald Room, the one that lingered after your first sip of tea. Here, in the raw heart of the kitchen, it's stripped bare of polite society's pleasantries, more direct, more alarming. It mingles with the bergamot, creating a discordant harmony, a beautiful lie. The maid stirs the brew with a long spoon, her face impassive, perhaps used to these subtle undercurrents. She pours a splash into a testing cup, her movements precise, almost ritualistic. The liquid is a rich, dark amber. You can almost feel its warmth, taste its sweetness, but the knowledge of that underlying metallic whisper now taints every imagined sip. It's astonishing how a simple act, repeated countless times daily, can carry such a heavy secret. You realize that even the most fundamental elements, intended to purify and sustain, can become carriers of silent, unseen dangers, masked by comforting aromas and familiar rituals. The lingering dullness of the laudanum in your mind is now battling against a new, unsettling clarity of thought. You find yourself drifting, almost subconsciously, away from the echoing drawing room and up a flight of narrower, less ornate stairs. The polite murmur of conversation recedes, replaced by a profound, almost eerie silence. The air here is different too, no heavy beeswax, no cloying perfume. Instead, you're greeted by the faint, comforting yet slightly stale scent of baby powder, well-worn fabric, and a lingering hint of lavender. It's the nursery floor. Your boots, so accustomed to the deep carpets below, now thud softly on thick, patterned linoleum, a practical surface. The light filtering through the lace-curtained window is gentle, painting the room in soft, diffused hues. It's a space of child-sized furniture. A miniature rocking horse stands sentinel in one corner, its painted eyes fixed ahead. A small wooden crib, neatly made, waits patiently. The room exudes an aura of innocent expectation, a stark, almost jarring contrast to the fraught atmosphere downstairs. Your gaze falls to the floor, where a collection of toys lies scattered. A wooden train, a rag doll, and nestled amongst them, a small, brightly painted tin soldier. Its uniform is a striking scarlet and gold, its tiny bayonet glinting faintly in the soft light. It lies on its side, abandoned, waiting. You reach for it, your fingers finding the cool, smooth, yet strangely heavy metal. The paint is chipped in places, worn thin where small, curious fingers must have held it repeatedly, perhaps even explored it with a tender mouth. And instinctively, almost without conscious thought, you bring the little soldier closer, your thumb brushing against the worn, painted surface. Then you find yourself touching your tongue to the vibrant scarlet paint, a fleeting, almost involuntary gesture. A taste blossoms on your tongue, shockingly, immediately sweet. It's a cloying, peculiar sweetness, not like sugar, but richer, almost oily, with a strange, chalky texture that seems to adhere to your palate. It's deceptively alluring, yet undeniably artificial, leaving a subtle metallic aftertaste that feels chillingly familiar. A wave of intense nausea washes over you, sharper than before, cutting through the laudanum's fog with brutal force. You feel your stomach clench, a cold dread replacing the warmth in your chest. The vibrant colors of the soldier suddenly seem grotesque, the alluring sweetness on your tongue a profound betrayal. You look at the chipped paint, the exposed metal beneath, and a terrifying understanding dawns. This innocent object, this colorful toy, holds a secret far darker than any you've yet encountered. It's horrifying how the most precious and vulnerable can be exposed to unseen dangers, how sweetness can be a mask for poison, silently corrupting the very essence of innocence. The sweet metallic taste of the painted soldier clings to your tongue, a sickening reminder that cuts through the laudanum's haze with devastating clarity. Your stomach lurches, a fresh wave of nausea threatening to overwhelm you. You instinctively drop the toy, the small clatter it makes on the linoleum floor echoing loudly in the sudden, profound silence of the nursery. The innocence of the room, once comforting, now feels profoundly corrupted, a chilling tableau. Your eyes, wide with a terrible dawning comprehension, fix on the small wooden cot in the corner. It stands pristine, neatly made, but utterly unnervingly quiet. It's too silent. There's no soft breathing, no rustle of blankets, no sweet scent of a sleeping child. The air hangs heavy, thick with absence. A single flickering gaslight on the wall casts long, wavering shadows, making the room feel both ethereal and oppressive, a space of hushed mourning. You see her then, a woman likely the child's mother, seated rigidly on a low rocking chair beside the cot. Her back is to you, but her posture speaks volumes. Her shoulders are slumped, a profound weight pressing down on her, and you notice a faint, almost imperceptible tremor running through her frame. Her head is bowed, nestled against the rail of the cot, as if seeking solace from the cold wood itself. The faint glow of the gaslight catches a single shimmering tear track on her pale cheek as she lifts her head slightly, her gaze fixed on the empty space within the cot. There are no sounds of weeping, no audible sobs, just a terrible, aching stillness. It's a grief so profound, so utterly consuming, that it silences all external noise, leaving only the hollow ache of loss. You glance back at the fallen soldier, its bright colors now seeming like a grotesque mockery. The metallic tang in your mouth intensifies, a silent scream of recognition. The quiet cot, the mother's desolate stillness, the deceptive sweetness of the lead paint, they all connect, forming a suffocating narrative of an enemy unseen, unheard, until its cruel work is done. You feel a cold knot tighten in your stomach, a chilling echo of her silent agony. It's a brutal truth, this quiet grief, a testament to how the most insidious dangers can steal what is most precious, leaving only an unbearable silence and the bitter, metallic taste of a poisoned world. The cloying sweetness of lead paint still haunts your tongue, a sharp contrast to the biting, chemical scent that now assaults your senses. It's the unmistakable, pungent aroma of carbolic acid, sharp and antiseptic, cutting through the heavy air of the Grand Mayfair townhouse like a surgeon's blade. You find yourself in a quieter, more austere room, perhaps a study or a repurposed antechamber, far from the polite chatter of the drawing room. The gaslight here is dimmer, casting long, stark shadows that accentuate the sober decor. Your gaze lands on a worn, black leather bag, set carefully on a polished mahogany table. It's the doctor's bag, heavy and purposeful, its surface gleaming faintly under the weak light. A sense of cold dread washes over you as the familiar Dr. Finch approaches it with a deliberate, almost ritualistic movement. He doesn't look at you, his attention solely on the task at hand, his expression a mask of clinical detachment. With a soft, almost leathery sigh, he unclasps the brass fasteners. The lid lifts, revealing a glimpse of the bag's interior, dark and surprisingly organized. Your eyes are drawn to the glint of metal within. He reaches in, his fingers precise and unhurried, extracting an array of instruments. Cold steel, forceps, scalpels, needles, they emerge one by one, reflecting the gaslight with a chilling, sterile sheen. You can almost feel the coldness radiating from them, an unsettling chill that mirrors the growing fear in your gut. The air around them seems to hum with an unspoken tension, an aura of invasion, of cold, detached examination. The sharp scent of carbolic acid intensifies as he lays them out, each piece carefully positioned on a clean white cloth. The clean, hard lines of the metal, the unforgiving gleam, feel like a stark counterpoint to the organic, insidious nature of the poison you suspect. This is a battle, you realize, that cannot be fought with such blunt, albeit sterile instruments. It makes you reflect on the strange dichotomy, the cold, stark precision of medicine against the invisible, shapeless foe that lingers in the air, in the tea, in the painted toys. A chilling reminder that some truths defy simple instruments, needing more than just a scalpel to uncover. The doctor, his metallic instruments put away, turns to you with a final clinical nod. You're led to a small, spare bed in the antechamber, the heavy scent of carbolic acid still clinging to the air. A maid, her face carefully neutral, offers you a small glass. The liquid within is clear, yet a faint, earthy smell rises from it, a hint of something ancient and potent. You lift it to your lips and the taste is immediate, overwhelming. Quinine, it's an explosion of bitterness, so intense it makes your eyes water, scouring your tongue, coating your entire mouth with a dry, acrid film that seems to suck all moisture from your very being. You swallow, a convulsive effort, but the bitterness lingers, relentless, far more potent than the tea's earlier metallic tang. Then you're bundled into a thick wool blanket. Its weight is oppressive, heavy, meant to be comforting. But the rough fibers scratch at your skin, 1,000 tiny prickles against your heightened senses. It feels coarse, chafing your neck, irritating your arms, a persistent physical discomfort on top of the internal churning. You pull it tighter, seeking warmth, but the scratchiness remains, a constant, abrasive reminder of your confinement. The doctor gives a final, dismissive wave of his hand, a quiet word to the maid, and then he's gone, his footsteps fading. You're left alone with the bitter taste, the scratch of the wool, and the chilling knowledge that the true affliction within you remains unaddressed, unacknowledged. The laudanum may dull the edges, but it cannot erase the insidious truth. This prescribed cure feels utterly futile, a performative gesture in the face of an invisible, pervasive enemy. It makes you reflect on how easily genuine suffering can be masked, dismissed, or simply covered up by remedies that only address the surface, leaving the true illness to fester, unseen and unheard. The dull ache in your head persists, but your senses focus on a new, distinct detail. You find yourself in a hushed, private chamber where a faint, sharp mineral tang cuts through the delicate scent of old potpourri. It's a smell both sterile and subtly dangerous. You watch a lady at her dressing table, her face a canvas of admired pallor. Her movements are precise, almost ritualistic. From an ornate silver box, she carefully takes a tiny, brittle white wafer, no larger than a fingernail. Her elegant fingers handle it with profound care. She places it delicately on her tongue, a brief pause, then swallows quickly. A fleeting grimace tightens her lips, quickly smoothed away, replaced by a serene expression. Her skin possesses an ethereal translucence, a truly luminous quality that seems to glow in the dim light. This is the coveted Victorian pallor, a beauty whispering of delicate health, yet you recall the wafer, the sharp intake of breath, the unsettling aroma. The quiet room hums with the weight of this secret. It's a chilling paradox. Slowly inviting poison for a fleeting illusion, a desperate pursuit of luminous, yet ultimately deadly perfection. The cold, smooth glass of the dressing table mirror reflects her face, a perfect oval framed by dark, upswept hair. You stand behind her, a silent observer in the quiet chamber. Her eyes, large and luminous, gaze back at her own reflection, searching for something, a reassurance. The desired effect is undeniably there. Her skin possesses an almost translucent pallor, a delicate, ethereal whiteness that hints at a sublime fragility. It's the very essence of Victorian beauty, an admired, luminous glow that speaks of refinement and a life far removed from the coarseness of the world. But as you look closer, a subtle discord emerges. The pallor, while beautiful, also seems to leach away any natural warmth, leaving her lips a faint, almost purplish hue. A tiny vein, barely visible, throbs just beneath the thin skin of her temple. You notice a tremor, almost imperceptible, in the hand that rests on the polished wood of the table, not a sudden jolt, but a persistent, vibrating hum. She clasps her other hand over her stomach, a gesture that feels less like elegance and more like an attempt to quell an unseen, internal struggle. Her breathing, though shallow, is punctuated by a tiny, almost silent catch in her throat, a swallowed sigh of discomfort. That bitter mineral tang, the ghost of the wafer she just consumed, seems to cling to the air around her, mingling with the faint scent of rosewater. The mirror, usually a faithful confidant, now feels like a profound betrayer, showing only the desired facade, the luminous surface, while utterly concealing the silent, insidious battle raging within. You can almost feel the churning in her gut, the slow, corrosive burn, a direct consequence of that fragile beauty. The elegance, the serene expression, they are a carefully constructed lie. This quiet moment, this private ritual of self-appraisal, becomes a chilling testament to the price of such perfection. It's a stark lesson. Sometimes the most alluring beauty is also the most destructive, a silent corrosion eating away at the very core of being, all for the sake of a fleeting, superficial ideal. The bitter, scratchy memory of quinine and wool still prickles your senses, but now a new, far heavier atmosphere presses in around you. It's the profound, suffocating silence of a room where every breath feels loaded, every glance a potential weapon. You find yourself in a small, private sitting room, the air thick with the faint scent of old paper and the cloying sweetness of fading lilies. The afternoon light, muted by heavy damask curtains, casts a dull sheen over the polished mahogany tea table. You sit opposite another guest, an elderly man, frail and gaunt, his eyes cloudy with age yet surprisingly sharp. He coughs, a dry, rasping sound that breaks the tense quiet like glass. You watch his fragile hand tremble slightly as he reaches for a porcelain teacup. Across from him, a younger woman impeccably dressed in dark silk sits rigid and almost unnaturally still. Her gaze, however, does not meet his. Instead, her eyes dart, almost imperceptibly, to a small silver caddy sitting innocent beside the sugar bowl. The silence between them is a living thing, stretched taut, vibrating with unspoken resentments and desperate desires. It's not a peaceful quiet, but a brittle one ready to shatter. The clink of the teapot against the cups as the elderly man pours sounds unnaturally loud, echoing in the hushed space. He offers her a cup, his hand steadying as he extends it. The woman takes it with slow, deliberate movements, her fingers brushing his, a brief contact charged with an unspoken current. She doesn't look at him, but her lips are pressed into a thin, almost invisible line, a forced, polite smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. You notice the slight flush that rises on her pale cheeks, a nervous warmth betraying her carefully composed exterior. Her gaze drifts back to that silver caddy, a fleeting, almost guilty glance. No words are exchanged, no accusations are made, but the air is thick with a chilling understanding. The weight of expectation, of unspoken futures, hangs heavy over the delicate porcelain. This profound silence, this careful choreography of politeness, is far more terrifying than any shouted argument. It makes you realize how human desire, when driven to its darkest corners, can turn the most ordinary rituals into a theater of silent, chilling intent. That heavy, suffocating silence still hangs in the small sitting room, doesn't it? Every tick of the grandfather clock in the hall feels like a hammer blow, marking time, marking the tension. The air, thick with the scent of lilies and old paper, feels brittle, ready to crack. You watch the elderly man, his hand, surprisingly steady for a moment, raise his teacup towards his lips. The younger woman, still rigid, still unmoving, observes him with an unnerving intensity, her eyes fixed not on his face but on the delicate porcelain vessel. And then you hear it. A tiny, almost imperceptible sound, a distinct, brittle asterisk rattle from within the cup as he lifts it, a dry, faint scraping against the delicate china. It's not the clink of a spoon nor the gentle swirl of liquid. No, this is different, a singular, unnerving tremor, like a minute hard granule dancing against porcelain. It's barely audible, a ghost of a sound, yet in the profound quiet of the room, it seems to shatter the air, echoing loudly in your ears. The elderly man freezes, his cup halfway to his mouth. His cloudy eyes, though old, flicker, a sudden spark of suspicion igniting deep within them. He doesn't look at the woman, but his gaze drops to the liquid in his cup, then back to the silver caddy on the table, a connection made in silent, terrifying speed. His hand, which had been steady moments before, now trembles violently, making the porcelain cup dance, the unnatural rattle repeating, louder this time, undeniable. The young woman, however, remains outwardly composed. Her lips are still pressed into that thin, polite line, but her eyes, those sharp, darting eyes, betray her. For a split second, a flash of something cold and triumphant flickers across them, quickly veiled by a mask of innocent concern. She leans forward just a fraction, a subtle shift in her posture, her gaze now fixed on the old man's trembling hand, her expression unreadable. The air thickens, heavy with the unsaid, with the terrible knowledge that just passed between them unspoken. The innocent ritual of tea is poisoned, not just by what might be in the cup, but by the chilling sound of suspicion itself. It's astonishing how a single tiny sound can unravel an entire facade, exposing the terrifying depths of human intention beneath the veneer of polite society. The chill hits you first, a profound, inescapable cold that seeps into your very bones, far deeper than any autumn evening. It's the raw, unyielding cold of stone and silence. You're in a stark, dimly lit room, the air heavy and still, carrying the faint, clean scent of disinfectant, yet failing to mask something far more unsettling. Your boots echo softly on the damp flagstones, each step a morbid punctuation in the oppressive quiet. Then it reaches you, subtle at first, then growing unmistakable, the unique, unsettling odor of bitter almonds. It's not the comforting sweetness of marzipan, nor the warm nuttiness of roasted almonds. No, this is different, sharper, almost metallic, with an eerie sweetness that cloys at the back of your throat, causing a faint prickle on your tongue. It's a scent that whispers of something profound and irrevocably final, a smell that once perceived is never forgotten. Your eyes adjust to the gloom, drawn to the center of the room. There, on a slab of polished grey marble, lies a figure covered by a sheet. The stone slab itself radiates cold, reflecting the weak gaslight in a way that feels utterly inhuman. You approach slowly, each step feeling heavier than the last, the bitter almond scent growing stronger with every inch. The air around the slab seems colder still, as if death itself extracts the warmth from its surroundings. You reach the slab, and with a hesitant hand you pull back the sheet. The face revealed is pale, serene in its stillness, etched with an almost peaceful composure that belies the suddenness implied by the bitter scent. This is the elderly man from the tea table, his features now devoid of that fleeting suspicion you witnessed earlier. His skin feels impossibly cold, like marble beneath your fingertips, yet it holds a strange, almost translucent quality. You notice a faint, almost purplish tinge to his lips, a subtle discoloration that stands out against the stark pallor of his skin. The bitter almond smell is now overwhelming, filling your lungs, searing itself into your memory. It speaks not of illness but of intent, a silent scream of truth that only the dead can now fully articulate. It's chilling how death, in its cold finality, can strip away all pretense, revealing secrets that life itself tried so desperately to keep hidden. The oppressive cold of the mortuary slab still seeps into your bones, but the grim scene begins to recede, replaced by a different kind of chill. You find yourself in a small, cramped laboratory, a stark utilitarian room tucked away somewhere deeper within the labyrinthine building. The air here, though also cold, is thick with a different mix of scents. The sharp, vinegary tang of acetic acid, the metallic hint of iron, and still, faintly, the cloying, inescapable whisper of bitter almonds. It's a battle of odors, the scientific fighting to cut through the insidious. A lone figure, a man with spectacles perched low on his nose and sleeves rolled up to reveal surprisingly strong forearms, stands hunched over a work surface. This is the toxicologist, his concentration absolute, his movements precise and unhurried. The gaslight above his head casts a harsh, unflattering glow on his furrowed brow, illuminating every speck of dust dancing in the air. He doesn't acknowledge your presence. His world is one of chemical reactions and unseen truths. Around him, a bewildering array of glassware glimmers under the harsh light, delicate test tubes held in wooden racks, gleaming retorts with long, winding necks and sturdy beakers filled with various clear or faintly colored liquids. The subtle clinking of glass against glass is the only sound, a delicate counterpoint to the quiet hiss of a small spirit lamp burning steadily beneath a flask. A faint plume of steam rises, carrying new, sharper chemical notes to your nose. You watch as he meticulously labels a small, dark vial of liquid, its contents swirling opaquely. This, you realize, is a sample taken from the deceased, the very essence of the life that was, now reduced to a chemical puzzle. He picks up a dropper, his hand steady, almost mechanical, and carefully extracts a few drops from the vial. He transfers them to a clean test tube, then adds another reagent, a clear, unassuming liquid from a labeled bottle. You lean in, holding your breath, a profound sense of anticipation gripping you. For a moment, nothing happens. Then, slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, the liquid in the test tube begins to change. A faint, milky cloudiness blooms, growing denser, then a fine, dark precipitate starts to form at the bottom, settling like insidious sediment. His spectacles glint as he holds the test tube up to the light, his gaze unwavering, searching for the unmistakable signature of the unseen killer. The cold, unyielding language of chemistry speaks its truth, cutting through the layers of deceit and polite society. It's a chilling reminder of how science, in its stark, methodical pursuit, can drag the darkest secrets into the light, revealing the hidden mechanisms of betrayal that even death tries to conceal. The cold, chemical tang of the toxicologist's laboratory still prickles your nose, but now a new, more urgent tension fills the air. You're watching the same meticulous figure hunched over an intricate apparatus, a contraption of glass tubing and flasks connected by rubber stoppers. This is the Marsh test, the definitive hunt for the invisible killer. The air is suddenly thick with the pungent, acrid smell of hydrogen sulfide, like rotten eggs, an unavoidable byproduct of the delicate chemical dance unfolding. It makes your stomach clench, a far more visceral reaction than any previous discomfort. Your gaze is fixed on a small glass flask, where a liquid once clear now bubbles gently, a silent effervescence. A slender glass tube extends from it, curving gracefully, its tip aimed directly at a small, flickering gas flame. A low, continuous hiss fills the quiet laboratory. It's the sound of gas escaping the tube, a steady, subtle breath of invisible fumes being drawn towards the heat. The toxicologist, his spectacled eyes unblinking, holds a small, cool porcelain dish directly over the flame, catching the tiny stream of gas as it ignites. The flame itself is small, almost delicate, yet it holds the power of undeniable revelation. You watch, mesmerized. For a long, tense moment, nothing happens. The porcelain dish remains pristine, a blank canvas. The hiss continues, the flame flickers. Then slowly, almost reluctantly, a change begins. A faint, silvery sheen appears on the porcelain, like a breath on cold glass. It expands, growing darker, duller, until a distinct, almost metallic deposit forms on the surface. It's a dark, undeniable spot, reflecting the gaslight with a cold, malevolent gleam. The toxicologist nods, a grim, satisfied movement. His face remains impassive, but his eyes, behind the thick lenses, hold a flash of undeniable triumph, a quiet victory in the face of death. The air, though still acrid, suddenly feels lighter, as if a profound truth has just been violently ripped from the shadows. The cold gleam on the porcelain dish is the undeniable proof, the silent accusation. It's a chilling reminder that truth, even when invisible, eventually leaves its mark. A subtle yet unmistakable stain that can be unearthed by patience and the unyielding rigor of science. The acrid stench of hydrogen sulfide still pricks at your nostrils, a harsh counterpoint to the quiet hum of the laboratory. The faint, dark deposit on the porcelain dish from the Marsh test has confirmed a presence, but now the toxicologist moves with a renewed, grim determination towards a definitive visual proof. His movements are precise, almost ritualistic, in their quest for an incontrovertible truth. He takes a slender shard of glass, no bigger than your thumbnail, from a small tray. It feels cool and insubstantial as he holds it, his spectacled eyes unwavering. With a pair of delicate forceps, he positions the glass shard directly into the heart of the small, steady gas flame, where the invisible gas from the apparatus continues its slow, hissing escape. The flame, usually so warm and inviting, now feels like a crucible, a silent interrogator. The intense heat of the flame causes the glass to shimmer to distort the light around it, but for a moment the shard remains clear, a tiny window into nothing. The air is still thick with the chemical smells, the only sound the faint, relentless hiss of the gas. You lean in, holding your breath, a profound anticipation tightening your chest. Then, slowly, subtly at first, a change begins. A faint mist appears on the surface of the glass, a ghostly film that seems to bloom from the very heart of the flame. It rapidly darkens, growing denser, spreading across the shard until it becomes a distinct, almost perfectly reflective layer. It's not just a smudge nor a stain, it's a shimmering metallic mirror, tiny and perfectly formed, reflecting the gaslight back with a cold, unwavering gleam. The color is a dark, almost purplish-black stark against the clear glass, utterly unmistakable. The toxicologist removes the shard, holding it up to the light, his gaze unblinking. He turns it slowly, allowing the light to dance across its surface, confirming every angle, every edge of the deposit. A quiet, almost imperceptible sigh escapes his lips, a sound of grim satisfaction, of certainty. There is no triumph in his face, only the profound, heavy weight of absolute proof. This isn't just a chemical reaction. It's a silent, undeniable accusation, suspended on a shard of glass. It's chilling how the most profound and devastating truths can be etched onto something so small, so fragile, turning a tiny piece of glass into a silent, unyielding witness to an invisible crime. The raw, acrid smell of the toxicologist's lab still clings to the back of your throat, a stark contrast to the crisp, cool air that now greets you. You're back in Mayfair, the familiar scent of damp pavement and chimney smoke filling your lungs. The morning after, the city is just stirring, its usual quiet hum about to begin, but then it comes, a sudden piercing sound that slices through the pre-dawn stillness, the urgent, ragged cry of a newspaper boy. Extra, extra. Read all about it. Tragic demise of prominent gentleman. His voice, thin and raw, echoes down the cobbled street, each word landing with an unsettling thud. The unexpected volume makes you flinch, a jolt that cuts through the lingering fogginess from the laudanum. You feel an inexplicable pull, an almost magnetic urge to understand the cause of this sudden, desperate noise. You find yourself moving towards the boy, your footsteps unusually loud on the damp flags. He's a small, wiry figure bundled against the chill, his hands already stained with ink. You reach into your pocket, pulling out a coin, the cold metal feeling heavy against your fingertips. He shoves a fresh copy into your hand, its pages crackling with an almost brittle dryness, smelling strongly of damp paper and freshly pressed ink, a primal, urgent scent of unfolding news. Your eyes, still adjusting, immediately snap to the bold, black headlines screaming from the front page. The letters are stark, undeniable, stark against the grainy paper. Sudden demise of Lord Blackwood, suspicion of foul play. A cold knot tightens in your stomach. Lord Blackwood, the elderly gentleman from the tea table, the one with the trembling hand and the suspicious rattle in his cup. The words jump from the page, connecting the dots of your fragmented observations with terrifying speed. Around you, other early risers, a maid scurrying with her basket, a baker's boy whistling Stop Dead. Their casual morning rhythms are shattered. You watch as a woman drops her shopping bag, a collective gasp rippling through the small group that gathers, their faces blanching as they read the damning words. Whispers break out, hushed and horrified, spreading like wildfire. The polite facade of Mayfair is cracking, revealing the dark undercurrents beneath. Tea time, that most genteel of Victorian rituals, feels irrevocably tainted, its innocence shattered by the stark reality printed in black and white. It's chilling how a single cry, a few lines of ink on cheap paper, can rip through the carefully constructed illusions of an entire society, exposing the quiet horrors that fester beneath the surface of respectability. The newspaper headline, its stark black letters, has ripped through the morning's veneer, hasn't it? The chill of the dawn street has followed you indoors, but now it's a deeper, more insidious cold. You find yourself in a morning drawing room, not unlike the one where you first tasted that peculiar tea, but today the atmosphere is utterly transformed. The usual genteel hum of polite conversation is gone, replaced by a brittle, unnerving quiet. The crisp rustle of newly acquired newspapers fills the air, mingling with the familiar aroma of freshly brewed Earl Grey, but no one is truly drinking. Hands hover over delicate porcelain teacups, trembling, then fall away, leaving the steaming liquid untouched. The scent of bergamot, once so comforting, now carries a faint, almost metallic whisper beneath its fragrance, a ghost of a taste on your own tongue. You watch as a lady in a silk morning gown clutches the newspaper to her chest, her face pale, eyes wide with a dawning horror that seems to deepen with every passing second. A gentleman across the room runs a nervous hand over his neatly trimmed moustache, his gaze flicking from the stark headlines to the gleaming silver teapot, then back again, a silent, sickening connection being made in his mind. Biscuits lie uneaten on delicate plates, their sweetness forgotten. The small, miniature sandwiches, cut into perfect triangles, sit untouched, their bright colors now seeming like a grotesque mockery of a safe world. You feel the collective dread, a palpable wave of fear that ripples through the room, chilling the very air. No one speaks loudly, but hushed whispers, fragmented sentences drift through the air, all centering on the same horrifying implication. Guests eye each other with fleeting, wary glances, a quiet suspicion blossoming in their eyes. The shared ritual, the comfort of the morning tea, is suddenly, irrevocably shattered. The steaming pot, once an invitation, now feels like a silent, accusing presence on the table, its gentle warmth a chilling deception. It's unsettling, isn't it? How easily trust can be shattered, how quickly something so utterly commonplace, so deeply woven into the fabric of daily life, can transform into an object of profound, pervasive fear. The tea, once a simple symbol of hospitality, has become a cup of dread. The sudden sharp crack of a gavel slices through the heavy, hushed air, making you jump. It reverberates off the high, vaulted ceiling, a brutal punctuation mark in the profound silence, settling into the very bones of this solemn courtroom. You feel the unyielding cold of the polished wooden bench press against your back, its hard, unforgiving surface radiating a chill that seems to sink directly into your core, despite the thick fabric of your clothes. You shift slightly, trying to find some purchase, some small comfort, but the bench offers no quarter. It feels like a silent, implacable witness, absorbing the weight of every whispered word, every accusation, every unspoken fear. The air itself feels dense, laden with a dry, dusty mixture of old oak, nervous perspiration, and the faint, lingering metallic tang you've come to associate with hidden truths, perhaps even with the cold steel of the toxicologist's lab. Your gaze sweeps over the formidable room, an architectural monument to justice. Towering panels of dark, polished wood rise to meet the ornate plasterwork of the ceiling, whilst high windows of stained glass cast fragmented, muted colours across the stone floor, painting patches of sombre purple and grey. Rows upon rows of solemn, unblinking faces, the public, the press, the legal fraternity fill the gallery, a sea of dark coats and stern expressions. The low murmur of the gathered spectators is a restless, almost animal hum, a collective breath held in anticipation, a tension so thick you could almost taste it. The distant rumble of carriage wheels outside, usually a constant in London, seems strangely muted, trapped behind the thick walls. Then your eyes find her. She stands in the dock, the young woman from the tea party, the one who sat opposite Lord Blackwood, her face a mask of careful composure. Her dress, though still elegant, a dark, heavy silk, appears muted, almost grey, against the stark, dark wood of the prisoner's stand. Her hands are clasped tightly before her, the knuckles white against her pale skin, a tiny, almost imperceptible tremor running through them. Her face, usually so perfectly composed, now holds a fragile pallor, her eyes wide, almost haunted, yet with a surprising resilience. She lifts her head slowly, deliberately, and her gaze, heavy with 1,000 unspoken burdens, sweeps across the faces in the gallery. For a fleeting, chilling moment, her eyes lock with yours. It's a glance that carries the weight of desperate plea, of weary defiance, and an unsettling, undeniable challenge, a silent question aimed directly at you. The air thickens, charged with the unspoken drama, with the sheer gravity of her plight. Another sharp, decisive rap of the gavel cuts through the stillness, demanding attention, commanding absolute silence. The sound is an echo not just of authority but of finality, of judgment about to be rendered, a life hanging in the balance. You feel the profound pressure of the moment, the stark reality of consequences unfolding, all from this cold, hard seat. The raw drama of it, the clash between the elegant veneers of society and the brutal machinery of the law, feels almost overwhelming. It makes you realize how quickly society can pivot from polite tea and hushed whispers to the stark, unforgiving theater of justice, where every glance carries a judgment and every single sound reverberates with irreversible, life-altering fate. The air in the courtroom is heavy, isn't it? Almost suffocating, thick with the scent of old wood, dust, and unspoken judgments. You're still on that cold bench, the chill radiating through your coat, but now your attention is fixed, laser-sharp on the witness stand. The elderly housekeeper, her face a web of deep lines, stands there, clutching a worn handkerchief in her gnarled hands. Her usually stern demeanor is replaced by a profound vulnerability, her eyes wide and haunted as they sweep across the room, carefully avoiding the piercing gaze of the accused woman in the dock. A profound silence descends, broken only by the sharp, almost painful intake of breath from the housekeeper. When she begins to speak, her voice is a fragile whisper, barely audible, cracking with emotion, forcing everyone to strain forward. You can almost feel the struggle within her, the battle between decorum and the raw, painful memory she is forced to exhume. She describes the final afternoon, the tea service, the subtle shifts in Lord Blackwood's complexion, a peculiar pallor that deepened from grey to an alarming bluish tinge around his lips. You recall the sweet taste of lead paint, the purplish hue on the mortuary slab, and a fresh wave of nausea washes over you. She speaks of his mounting discomfort, the faint, almost imperceptible tremors that began in his hands, then spread to his entire body. You remember the flower maker's shaking hand, the uneasy feeling in your own stomach, the metallic taste she recounts that he complained about like old pennies clinging to his tongue. Your own mouth suddenly tastes of that same bitter tang. She recounts his desperate gasps for air, the terrible, unnatural contortions of his face, the clawing at his throat as if an unseen hand were throttling him. You feel a phantom pressure in your own chest, a sympathetic constriction of breath. Her trembling voice, though soft, paints a vivid, terrifying picture of those final moments, of a rapid, brutal decline. The young woman in the dock remains impassive, her face a beautiful, unreadable mask, but you catch a fleeting, almost imperceptible flinch in her eyes as the housekeeper recounts the agony. The sheer weight of memory of witnessing such a private, brutal death fills the courtroom, a visceral truth that no polite veil can hide. It's chilling how memory, even when fractured by pain and fear, can carry such a potent, undeniable truth, making the silent agony of the past echo with a terrible present clarity. The housekeeper's raw testimony still echoes in the courtroom, painting a vivid picture of agony, but now a fresh, stinging sensation assaults your nose. It's the sharp, acrid smell of lye mixed with the damp, earthy scent of old stone. You're no longer in the solemn halls of justice, but in the dimly lit, chilly depths of the scullery, a world away from polite society. The air is heavy, oppressive, thick with the chemical burn of strong cleaning agents, and a profound, palpable fear. You see her, the young scullery maid, hunched over a large, chipped porcelain sink. Her hands, red and chapped, are plunged deep into a basin of steaming, soapy water. The water itself has a peculiar, almost slimy feel, its surface shimmering faintly under the weak gaslight. As she scrubs, a fine, almost invisible mist rises, carrying that distinct, corrosive lye odor directly to your nostrils, making you cough, your throat contracting instinctively. She is meticulously cleaning a tea set, the very one you realize with a jolt, that was used for the ill-fated tea ritual. Each delicate teacup, each saucer is being scrubbed with a fervent, almost desperate intensity. Her movements are quick, agitated, betraying a deep internal turmoil. You notice a red, angry patch on her forearm, a raised, blotchy mark that looks like a chemical burn, a fresh wound. She flinches as the lye-laden water splashes it, a silent gasp of pain quickly stifled. The burn of the lye on her skin seems to mirror the deeper, internal burn of fear radiating from her. Her eyes, when they dart nervously towards the scullery door, are wide and haunted, flickering with a primal fear. Every faint creak from the floorboards above, every distant cough makes her jump, her body tensing as if bracing for an unseen blow. She glances over her shoulder, a quick, almost panicked movement, then quickly returns to her scrubbing, her head bowed low, as if trying to disappear into the steam. The quiet hum of the scullery, usually a backdrop to mundane tasks, now feels charged with an unspoken threat, a suffocating weight of potential accusation. She is not just cleaning, she is erasing, desperately trying to scrub away not just tea stains, but any trace, any shadow of the poison. It's chilling how the most vulnerable, caught in the wake of grander dramas, bear the deepest burdens. Her physical pain, the burn of the lye, is merely an outward manifestation of the far greater internal burn of fear and the terrible weight of knowing, or perhaps merely suspecting, a truth too dangerous to speak. The acrid sting of lye from the scullery still lingers in your memory, but now a fresh, chilling draught brushes against your face, carrying the faint, unsettling scent of old wood and hushed sorrow. You find yourself standing in a discreet doorway, a hidden vantage point peering into a grand yet melancholic drawing room. The scene before you is a poignant tableau, illuminated by the muted glow of a single flickering gaslight. The opulent room, so vibrant with life and polite chatter mere days ago, now feels strangely hollow, its grandeur imbued with a heavy, oppressive silence. A fire crackles listlessly in the ornate fireplace, its warmth failing to dispel the pervasive chill that seems to cling to every velvet drape and polished surface. You watch the remnants of a family. A frail-looking lady dressed in somber black sits rigidly on a sofa, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. Her pallor is stark against the dark fabric, a luminous white that now looks less like beauty and more like the first flush of illness. Her gaze, unfocused, stares into the dancing flames, but her eyes hold a deep, distant sorrow, a palpable resignation. Across from her, a young man, perhaps her son, paces slowly. His footsteps are heavy on the thick carpet, a dull thud, 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 rhythmic and disturbing. He runs a hand through his hair, his movements jerky, agitated, as if battling an unseen enemy. You notice a slight tremor in his hand, a ghost of the flower maker's shake. He glances at his mother, a look of profound worry mixed with a subtle, almost guilty suspicion flickering in his eyes. He tries to speak, his lips forming a silent word, but no sound escapes him. The air between them is thick with unsaid things, with accusations perhaps or desperate questions. A small child, a boy no older than 6, sits on the floor near the hearth, carefully lining up a row of painted tin soldiers. He hums softly, an innocent, off-key tune that feels terribly out of place in the room's strained quiet. As he lines them up, you notice him, almost instinctively, lift one of the scarlet-painted figures to his mouth, a small, innocent gesture of exploration. Your stomach lurches. The sweet, metallic taste of lead paint is a phantom on your tongue, a sickening understanding. The child's mother flinches, a barely perceptible shudder, but she doesn't move to stop him. Perhaps she's too lost in her own grief, too consumed by the insidious, quiet poisoning that has already seeped into their lives. This house, once a beacon of status and wealth, is now a silent, breathing testament to a slow, creeping decay. The visible illness, the unsaid accusations, the innocent vulnerability, they're all connected. A family poisoned not just by substance, but by the shattering of trust, the gnawing dread that gnaws at the very core of their existence. It's chilling how a single act of malice can unravel an entire family, turning their home into a cage, their love into suspicion, and their very lives into a prolonged, silent agony. The acrid chemical tang of the lab, the stern courtroom echoes, they finally recede. In their place, the undeniable, intoxicating aroma of freshly baked bread. No metallic whisper here, no cloying sweetness. This is honest, robust, earthy goodness. A warm, yeasty scent that speaks of hearth and home, a primal comfort settling deep in your weary bones. You find yourself in a bustling, humble bakery, far from Mayfair's polished grandeur. The air hangs thick with flour dust, swirling like benevolent ghosts in sunbeams filtering through grimy panes. Heat from colossal brick ovens offers dry, wholesome warmth, a balm after the mortuary's chill. Wooden tables scrubbed raw, grown under loaves, crusty sourdough, plump cottage, delicate tea cakes still steaming. Every surface here whispers of simple, honest labor. You watch a baker, forearms dusted white, slide a fresh batch from the oven's maw. The crust crackles as it cools, a soft, satisfying symphony. His face, ruddy with heat, holds quiet pride, a defiance against city adulterations. He tears a steaming piece of crust and offers it. You take it, its warmth spreading to your fingertips, its simple weight significant. To your mouth it goes, crisp outside, soft within. The taste is pure, unadulterated wheat, deep and nourishing, utterly untainted. A taste of truth, a small defiant act of faith. Outside, a small hand-painted sign, crudely rendered, declares, "Pure bread, no adulteration." The words are a quiet revolution, a promise in a city newly aware of its hidden dangers. You see a woman, her basket full, pause, inhaling deeply, a look of profound relief on her face. This is the genesis of a new fight, a crusade for authenticity in a world grown perilous with lies. It makes you realize that sometimes the greatest acts of rebellion reside in the simplest commitments. An honest loaf, a pure taste, a quiet stand against pervasive poisons. From the warmth of that honest bakery, your senses shift. The comforting aroma of pure bread fades, replaced by a delicate, almost subtle scent of tea. But this isn't the cloying, suspect fragrance of Darjeeling from the Mayfair townhouse. No, this is different. It's a clean, almost crisp scent hinting at distant lands and careful processing. You hold it in your hand, a small rectangular tin, its surface cool and smooth against your palm. It feels reassuringly heavy, solid, and utterly secure. The label, simple and clear, declares guaranteed pure in bold, no-nonsense lettering. No elaborate flourishes, no deceptive colors, just a promise. It's a stark contrast to the grand, deceitful porcelain from the party. This tin represents a new era, a quiet revolution born from the very panic that gripped the city. With a deep breath, you exert a little pressure. There's a distinct, satisfying snap as the seal breaks, a sound of certainty, of security finally breached by intent. A fresh, robust aroma billows out, black tea, pure and unadulterated, with none of that metallic undertone, none of the bitter almond whisper. This is just tea, precisely as it should be. You watch as a shopkeeper, his hands calloused from years of honest trade, smiles genuinely, a rare, unforced expression that speaks volumes. He measures a generous amount into a small paper bag for you, his movements deliberate, almost ceremonial. Back home you brew a cup. The kettle, newly scrubbed, whistles cleanly. As the hot water hits the leaves, the steam rises, carrying nothing but the pure, unblemished scent of tea. You lift the cup, its warmth familiar, but the sensation in your hand is different. It's not just warmth, it's trust. You take a sip. It's strong, slightly astringent, but utterly clean. There's no cloying sweetness masking something sinister, no lingering metallic tang, just the honest taste of pure tea. You feel a profound sense of relief washing over you, a quiet peace in this simple, everyday ritual. This small sealed tin, this humble cup of untainted tea, feels like a quiet defiance against the poisons of the past. It makes you realize the profound, almost revolutionary power of simple honesty, and how vital it is to truly trust what we consume, allowing us to reclaim the comforting rituals of our lives. The pure, honest taste of untainted tea still lingers, a soothing balm after the recent horrors. Now a different sensation washes over you, gentle and grounding. It's the earthy, subtle scent of natural dyes, a rich, almost damp aroma, like crushed leaves and wholesome soil after a spring rain. It's a profound contrast to the acrid lye, the metallic tang, or the cloying sweetness of artificial pigments you've encountered. You find yourself in a quiet study, a sanctuary of calm. The light filtering through the window is soft, diffused, painting the room in muted, comforting hues. Your eyes are drawn to the walls, adorned with a magnificent William Morris wallpaper. It's a dense, intricate pattern of intertwining vines, delicate blossoms, and stylized birds, all rendered in shades of deep indigo, sage green, and warm ochre. The colors are rich, profound, but never garish. They feel ancient, honest, as if drawn directly from the earth itself. You reach out, your fingertips lightly brushing the surface of the paper. It feels subtly fibrous, almost rough, with a pleasing, tactile quality. It's not the smooth, cold veneer of painted walls, nor the faint, gritty sheen of dust you remember from the emerald room. No, this feels organic, substantial, as if the very plant matter used to create the dyes has been pressed into the paper itself. You lean closer, inhaling deeply, and the earthy scent intensifies, a whisper of madder root, woad, and fustic. There's a quiet dignity to this room, a palpable sense of craftsmanship and integrity. You notice a small, framed botanical print on the wall, depicting a cluster of vibrant blue flowers, woad, perhaps with a label beneath, listing its Latin name. It's a subtle nod to the origins, the very source of the natural colors surrounding you. This room feels like a quiet defiance, a statement against the deceptive brilliance of synthetic poisons, a return to something authentic and harmless. It's remarkable, isn't it? How a simple choice of decoration, a commitment to natural materials, can transform a space, making it a quiet testament to purity and offering a profound sense of security in a world so easily corrupted. The earthy, honest scent of natural dyes from the Morris wallpaper still provides a grounding comfort, a quiet rebellion against the city's hidden perils. But now you find your gaze drawn to a different corner of this revitalized home, a place where a stark, unsettling memory of a different kind of green still lingers, a ghost of a color that once promised beauty but delivered only dread. You stand in what was perhaps once a child's playroom, now stripped bare. The walls are newly painted in a soft, creamy white, utterly devoid of any intricate patterns or vibrant hues. Yet on the floor, stacked in a dusty, uneven pile, lie rolls of discarded wallpaper. Your eyes immediately fix on one. It's a relic of a recent past, a pattern of bold, almost aggressively vibrant emerald green leaves against a paler background, a color so intensely vivid it still seems to shimmer, even in the muted light. It's the same startling, artificial green you remember from the emerald room and the confectioner's dazzling wares. You reach down, your fingers brushing against the cold, slightly brittle paper. A faint, dry, almost metallic tang rises from it, a ghost of the very essence of arsenic pigment clinging to the fibers. It's a chilling reminder that cuts through the comforting, earthy tones of the Morris paper you just admired. The paper feels stiff, unyielding, almost as if it's resisting its own removal, unwilling to relinquish its dangerous, captivating beauty. You watch as a servant, his movements careful and deliberate, rolls up another section of this toxic beauty, his face impassive, but his handling of the paper almost reverent in its caution. He does not linger, does not inhale the air around it, but quickly, efficiently carries it away, disappearing through a service door. There's no regret in his actions, only a quiet, resolute determination to rid the space of its insidious beauty. The new cream-colored walls, though simple, now feel profoundly safe. The room breathes a quiet sigh of relief, unburdened by the deceptive glamour of that vibrant green. It's a conscious rejection, a deliberate turning away from a beauty that was once admired, but now understood to be intrinsically dangerous. This new aesthetic, a subdued palette of natural tones, might lack the dazzling, artificial brilliance, but it offers something far more precious. Peace of mind, a deep, undeniable sense of security for those who live within these walls. It makes you understand that true beauty isn't always about the brightest colors or the most striking displays. Sometimes it's found in the quiet strength of honesty, in the profound comfort of safety, and in the wisdom to reject a deadly allure for the simple, untainted calm of a truly wholesome home. You're back in the grand Mayfair townhouse, but it's utterly transformed. The vibrant energy is gone, replaced by a profound, almost echoing silence. A deep, persistent chill now clings to the air, far colder than any natural autumn day, seeming to radiate from the very heart of the building. It bites at your exposed skin, raising goosebumps, a cold that feels less about temperature and more about absence, about a lingering sorrow. The opulent drawing room, once a stage for polite society and deadly rituals, is now draped in dust sheets, white shrouds covering every piece of furniture like forgotten spectres. The grand piano, its keys hidden, looks like a silent tomb. Sunlight filtered through grimy, uncleaned windows falls in long, lonely shafts, illuminating motes of dust dancing in the stagnant air. The heavy velvet curtains are drawn, but gaps allow slivers of grey light to reveal the faded, once vibrant patterns. The air is heavy with the scent of decay, not of bodies, but of neglect, of stale memories, of dreams that have curdled and died. It smells faintly of mildew, of untouched fabrics, and of something else, something indefinable, a metallic whisper that seems to cling to the very air, a ghost of a previous horror. You trace a finger over a dusty, covered side table, feeling the fine grit of accumulated time. Beneath the sheet, lies the porcelain tea set, its delicate beauty now just another relic in this mausoleum of a home. The silence is broken only by the faint creak of old timbers, the house itself sighing its weary secrets. This room, once so alive with hidden intentions, now holds only the weight of its own past, a lingering sense of tragedy that permeates every object, every shadow. It's unsettling how a place, stripped of its inhabitants and its purpose, can still feel so profoundly present, haunted not by spirits, but by the indelible echoes of human folly and silent suffering. The biting cold of the abandoned drawing room seems to follow you, wrapping around you like a shroud as you drift down the silent corridor. Your footsteps, unusually loud, echo ahead into a doorway, revealing a deeper, more profound gloom. You found the emerald room again, but it's not the opulent, vibrant space you remember from that ill-fated gathering. It's a mausoleum steeped in a stillness that feels heavier, more ancient than the dust that coats every surface. The heavy velvet curtains, once a rich, lustrous jade, now hang faded and brittle, thick with years of accumulated grime and dust. They seem to absorb the last vestiges of light, refusing to let any warmth penetrate. The intricate wallpaper, that shimmering emerald pattern of intertwining leaves and flowers, is peeling in places, its once dazzling color muted, almost sickly, under the sparse, weak light filtering through the grimy window panes. But despite the pervasive decay, that particular shade of green still holds an unnerving intensity, a visual phantom that cuts through the surrounding grey, refusing to fully disappear. The air here feels colder, significantly colder than the rest of the house, as if it's been untouched by warmth for decades, clinging to a deeper, ancient chill that seeps into your very bones. A distinct dry smell prickles your nose, faint but utterly unmistakable. The metallic dust, the ghost of it, still seems to hang heavy in the stagnant air, a lingering chemical whisper that evokes a chilling memory. You run your hand along a dusty, covered display cabinet, feeling the fine grit of accumulated time, of forgotten objects. You recall the woman in blue, her hunched shoulders, her silent apprehension, standing by this very spot. You recall the faint sheen on the wallpaper, the growing malaise that had begun to bloom within you here in this precise space. It all rushes back, a vivid tapestry of sensation and unease. It's as if the room itself remembers, a silent, unblinking witness to the subtle, insidious poisoning it once contained. The elegant looking glass still hanging askew on the wall reflects a shadowy, distorted version of the room, and for a fleeting, unsettling moment, you imagine you see a faint shimmer, a sickly green haze dance across its surface, a trick of the failing light or perhaps something more, a lingering echo of the insidious pigment that once permeated its very atmosphere. You feel a strange prickle on your skin, a faint, almost phantom echo of the dizziness, the nausea, the peculiar internal warmth that had once bloomed in your chest in this very space. A profound silence presses in, heavy with the weight of unseen events, with the slow, insidious work that once transpired here, turning life into decay. Can a place truly hold such a tragic, toxic memory within its walls? Can the very fabric of a home absorb the pain it witnesses, the silent struggles, the hidden betrayals, and retain their essence long after the perpetrators are gone? It's a chilling thought, isn't it? How profoundly a space can be imprinted by the events it witnesses, becoming a silent, green-tinged tomb of its own dark, unforgettable history, a chilling testament to the enduring power of human suffering. The lingering chill of that abandoned Victorian house abruptly fades, doesn't it? Replaced now by something entirely different. You hear it first, a soft, steady hum emanating from a sleek white machine tucked neatly into the corner of a bright, airy kitchen. Everything here speaks of modernity: polished steel, smooth, uncluttered surfaces, cool, even lighting from recessed fixtures. No heavy velvet, no dusty gaslight, just a quiet, clean efficiency. Your eyes settle on the source of the hum. A water filter, a small, unobtrusive device. A tiny blue light pulses on its front, indicating its quiet, continuous work, a silent sentinel against unseen impurities. It's a profound contrast to the image of murky Thames water being scooped into buckets, isn't it? Here, the invisible enemy is met by silent, tireless technology. You reach for the tap. No clanking copper pipes, no murky historical context here. With a flick of the wrist, a steady stream of perfectly clear water gushes out. It's cold, crisp, and utterly transparent. You cup your hands, letting it pool. It feels smooth against your skin, lacking any oily film, any strange grit. There's no hint of decay, no acrid chemical burn. You bring it to your lips, take a cautious sip. It's clean, simply clean. No hidden sweetness masking something sinister, no metallic tang, no earthy undertones of a polluted river, just pure, refreshing water, honest in its simplicity. A quiet sense of calm settles over you. This effortless purity, delivered by a simple modern fixture, is a stark reminder of the battles fought, the unseen poisons uncovered, to ensure that something as fundamental as a glass of water can be consumed without a second thought. It's a strange, quiet luxury, isn't it, to trust so implicitly in something so basic? A testament to a world where, at least in this small, bright corner, the lurking fears of the past have been painstakingly filtered away. That clean, crisp water from the modern tap still feels cool against your lips, doesn't it? The gentle hum of the filter in the background, a subtle reminder of the invisible protection it offers. You take another sip, the taste utterly pure, refreshing, a stark, comforting contrast to the many unsettling flavors we've journeyed through. You pick up a sleek, electric kettle, its polished chrome gleaming in the bright kitchen light. You fill it directly from the tap, the clear water splashing melodically, and set it to boil. The quiet click of the switch, the swift, efficient rumble as the water heats, it's a world away from the vast, soot-stained range of a Victorian scullery, where murky Thames water was ladled, slowly brought to a boil, carrying the faint promise of corruption. While it heats, you reach for a box of tea bags, a familiar brand, their contents factory-sealed, mass-produced. You remember the silver caddy, the furtive glances, the silent rattle of suspicion in Lord Blackwood's cup. Here there's no question, no second thought. You tear open the sachet, the dry, robust aroma of pure tea leaves rising, entirely devoid of any metallic tang, any cloying sweetness that might hide something sinister. This is a scent that speaks of regulation, of food standards, of a world that, on the surface at least, has learned its painful lessons. You pour the boiling water over the tea bag in your favorite mug. The steam rises, fragrant and clean. You add a splash of milk, perhaps a spoonful of sugar, and stir. The spoon clinks against the ceramic, a sound of simple, everyday contentment. You lift the mug, feeling its warmth, and take that first, comforting sip. It's just tea. Perfectly normal, utterly safe. And that's the extraordinary thing, isn't it? That almost unconscious trust you now possess. You don't think about the river it came from, the chemicals that might be in the water, the hidden adulterants in the tea leaves, or the lead in the paint on your mug. You simply drink it. This casual, unthinking act of trust, this everyday comfort, is a luxury born from a century of quiet battles, from the revelations of toxicologists, the cries of newspaper boys, and the slow, painful lessons learned by a society grappling with its own hidden poisons. It makes you reflect on the sheer privilege of living in a world where a simple cup of tea can just be, well, a simple cup of tea. A profound, almost revolutionary comfort that was once a perilous, daily gamble. You've settled into that familiar comfort, haven't you? That clean, pure water, the untainted aroma of your tea. The everyday ritual now feels profoundly reassuring, a quiet triumph born from past perils. You take a slow, warm sip from your modern mug, the honest taste of pure tea settling deeply within you, utterly free from any lurking metallic tang or cloying sweetness. Your gaze drifts across your kitchen, past the gleaming appliances and the bright, even light. There, nestled on a small, unassuming shelf, sits a single, exquisite porcelain teacup. It's an antique, a beautiful piece of Victorian craftsmanship, salvaged perhaps from an old market stall, its history unknown to most. Its surface is painted with delicate, intricate patterns of roses and forget-me-nots, rendered in soft, muted greens and faded crimson, colors that once held a deceptive, dangerous brilliance. You reach out, your fingers tracing the smooth, cool curve of its rim. It feels impossibly delicate, almost fragile, a whisper of a bygone era. You lift it, feeling its lightness, its elegant balance. It's a stark contrast to the sturdy, reassuring weight of your modern mug. You bring it closer, inhaling gently. There's no scent of tea, no metallic whisper now, only the faint, nostalgic aroma of old porcelain, of quiet dust and forgotten memories. But as you hold it, knowing what you now know, that seemingly innocent beauty takes on a chilling new dimension. The delicate green, once a symbol of nature's beauty, now whispers of arsenical dyes, of the emerald room, of the very fabric of sickness. The faded crimson, so charming on the rose petals, evokes the confectionery kitchen, the alluring, deadly pigments. This teacup, now a harmless piece of decor, once held the power of quiet, insidious corruption, a silent participant in deadly rituals. You lower the teacup gently back onto its shelf, a knowing glance exchanged with its fragile beauty. It's a powerful thing, isn't it, to hold an object not just for what it appears to be, but for the silent, dangerous stories it secretly holds, stories that only knowledge can truly reveal. You've finished your brew, haven't you? The warmth of the mug still lingers in your hands, the honest aroma of pure tea a comforting embrace. You take a final, satisfying sip, the clean taste a gentle reminder of every lesson learned, every poison uncovered. It's more than just a drink now, it's a small, personal victory. You set your mug down on a coaster, the soft clinker sound of domestic peace, utterly free from the suspicious rattles and cloying sweetness of the past. Your modern kitchen hums gently around you, a sanctuary of safety and certainty. You glance towards the antique porcelain teacup on the shelf, its faded green roses and delicate form a beautiful silent testament to a world transformed. It sits there not as a threat but as a relic, a piece of history that now holds stories, not dangers. You look at it, a quiet understanding passing between you and the fragile beauty it represents. The air here is pure, no lingering metallic tang, no acrid chemicals. The clear, filtered water, the carefully regulated tea leaves, they represent a profound shift, a quiet revolution in the everyday. It's easy, almost too easy, to forget the struggles, the scientific breakthroughs, the legal battles that paved the way for this simple moment of untroubled enjoyment. The newspaper boy's cry, the toxicologist's precise instruments, the painful lessons of adulterated food, they all contribute to the unwavering trust you now feel in this unassuming cup. You lift your own mug again, not to drink, but in a silent, personal gesture. It's a toast, isn't it? A toast to resilience, to the quiet power of human ingenuity and insistence on truth. The tea ritual, stripped of its insidious dangers, endures. It's no longer a gamble, no longer a hidden threat, but a simple, deeply cherished moment of comfort and connection, and that, perhaps, is the truest comfort of all. To reclaim a beloved ritual, knowing that the poisons of the past have been seen, understood, and finally, unequivocally banished.